Hello again, everybody. Start show off clearing his throat right there. Lance Russell and Dave Brown right along ringside, all ready to go with another big day. Championship Wrestling. And by golly, we got a good card, and particularly that final expiration of time match today.
You're right about that. We're going to have Jerry Ralph in here in the opening match with Bill Smithson, his partner. We had our first look at him a week or so ago. Steve Regal and Rick Morton going against them in a tag team match. Then the Avenger will be going against Big Red in a single match, and the expiration of time match today. Stand by for this one. Rick and Robert Gibson on one side of the ring. On the other side, it'll be the King, Jerry Lawler, and his partner, handsome Jimmy Valiant.
Boy, I'll tell you what, that's a good line. In addition to that, we've got some very interesting bouts from around the territory that are on videotape, and we'll be seeing all of that. So it stands to be another one of those good, exciting, rough and tough wrestling action coming up on Championship Wrestling. Stay right there. We're going to be back with that opening bout coming up in just one more.
This will be a one-fall, 15-minute time limit match. Introducing at a total weight of 492 pounds on the left of your screen from Nashville, Tennessee, Jerry Ralph and Bill Smithson. Going against them at a total weight of 417 pounds from Nashville, Tennessee, Rick Morton. From Indianapolis, Indiana, Steve Regal. This match one fall, 15-minute time limit. Referee Paul Morton.
Young team of Smithson and Ralph, with Smithson starting against Regal and Rick Morton. Ought to be a good one in there. And Smithson and Ralph are going to get to see what it's like to go against two of the fastest guys around.
You're right about that. There's some of that speed right there from Steve Regal. The arm up behind. Over to the ropes, Bill Smithson. Break called for it. He gets a nice clean one. Steve Regal backs away. Regal working the arm again and the shoulder. Steve over to the corner. Tag on Rick Morton. Morton takes over the arm. Smithson looking for the corner. He finds it. Tags his partner, Jerry Ralph. Rick Morton against Jerry Ralph. On the ropes, break call for. Morton backs away quickly. Ralph still complained that he didn't back away quick enough. I don't know how he could have moved any quicker. Leg drop, good one by Rick Morton. Puts Ralph on the mat. Ralph grabs the bottom rope, slides under it. A break call for Ralph. Out of the ring, down on the floor. Rolls back under the bottom rope, into the ring again. Rick Morton waits for him there. Minute and a half gone. Down to the mat again goes Jerry Ralph. Rick Morton rolled the shoulders down, but Ralph near the ropes, pulled himself under that rope again. Ralph over to the corner. Conference with Bill Smithson, the referee, trying to get him back into action. Morton backed onto the ropes by Ralph. Yeah, no clean break from Ralph. He's slugging. Rick Morton answered him the same way, though, as he came off those ropes. Ralph again using the rope. It's under there, and that breaks the hold. Tag made by Rick Morton. Steve Regal back in. Steve out of Indianapolis, Indiana. Taps Jerry Ralph on the back and says, hey, I'm in here now. Steve with the headlock on Jerry Ralph. Off the rope, Regal shoulder butt puts Jerry Ralph down to the mat. Goes to the ropes again. Drives him down to the mat one more time. Steve Regal, the headlock. Ralph. Back Regal to the rope. Whoa, Steve popped him. After Ralph had slugged him. when he was back on the ropes. To the corner here is Rick Morton again. Rick takes over the headlock. Ralph rolling Rick's shoulders down to the mat briefly. Got a 1 count out of it. Here goes again, trying to reverse it on Rick Morton. Count of 1, 1.5 maybe. Rick Morton able to get the shoulders up, and he maintains the headlock on Jerry Ralph. Close to the 4-minute mark. Regal puts Jerry Ralph into the rope, rolls him down as he comes off of there. Jerry Ralph would very much like to get to the corner and tag Bill Smithson. Ralph has been in there most of the time. Smithson coming back in now. Second time he's been the official man in the match. They kind of double teaming Regal over in the corner. Smithson keeping him pinned back against the turnbuckles. Ralph grabs him from outside. Referee trying to get it all broken up. Rick Morton jumped in there to try to even it up. But the double team continues, and Smithson firing a right fist to the midsection of Steve Regal. Regal out of the corner, back to center ring, and in short order puts Smithson down on the mat. 4 minutes, 45 seconds into the action, a 1-fall, 15-minute time limit match. There is Rick Morton waiting patiently in the corner. His partner Steve Regal has just had his hair pulled. You saw it as he was yanked to the mat by Smithson. Head scissors put on by Steve Regal. Smithson out of it. 5 minutes, 10 seconds gone. Standing wrist lock by Steve Regal. Up around behind and drops Smithson down to the mat. Hair again. Boy, Smithson likes to pull hair. About the 3rd time he's yanked Regal's hair so far. They've got the arms tangled. Not sure who has the advantage.
Steve Regal.
Steve Regal does now. Yes, sir. He drops him to the mat. Unfortunately for Steve, Smithson under the bottom rope, so the referee called for it, got a break. Headlock by Regal. Over to the corner, the tag on Rick Morton. 6 minutes, 15 seconds gone. Ooh, Rick Morton caught a knee from Bill Smithson. Smithson with a body slam. Back to the rope. Drops with the upper part of the arm. Over to the corner and the tag on his partner, Jerry Ralph. Ralph fired a right fist. Rick Morton had about enough of that. He grabs him over to the corner. Regal rolls him down. 1, 2, 3. That is it. 6 minutes, 52 seconds. Steve Regal, Rick Morton, teamwork. Wins the match for him over Jerry Ralph and Bill Smithson. 6:52.
Yeah, there was a situation, Dave, where Steve and Rick were kind of coasting in the sense that they were going along in control of the match with the young team of Ralph and Smithson. And then all of a sudden, Ralph and Smithson decided they were going to take over and beat some stew out of Rick Morton, and bam, 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 it turned around real
all
quick
over right there.
You better believe it. The action goes to Steve Regal and Rick Morton. More championship wrestling action coming up, and we're going to be back to it in just one moment.
Big action coming up Tuesday night right there in the Louisville Gardens in Louisville, Kentucky. And by golly, I'll tell you what, last week there was some slam-bang 6-man, but this coming week, Tuesday night, no disqualification, no time limit.
We love it. We love it. Let me ask you one question. Have you ever seen... No, that's a silly question. I was going to say, have you ever seen a grown man cry? But I know you do when you look in the mirror. But last week, brother, to see Jerry Jarrett, who's supposed to be the big shot promoter around the country, sniveling, laying on that mat, crying like a baby, with Jimmy Hart pounding his brains out and me stomping him, and he was actually had big alligator tears running down his face, begging that referee to stop the match. Now, is that something? Now, naturally, Jerry Jarrett, he's the big shot. He's the boss man. So the referee said, ring that bell. That's the only way you got out of that match with your skin, Jarrett. And let me tell you something, Lucas and Dundee, that jerk has made the mistake of his life, and he's going to cost you jerks your careers because he has put your name on the contract with no disqualification. Ain't going to stop it this week. You're going to see 3 men cry. It's going to be those clowns.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they want no disqualification.
Woo, Maybelline, why can't you be true, mama? Woo, mercy, it's gonna be a no DQ match. And I'm not talking about Dairy Queen, mama. I'm talking about no disqualification. Woo, come on in, brother. Get your feet wet one more time. You can stand it. Woo, crying. Big tears, baby. Cry.
Handsome Jimmy. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. The team of Valiant, Hart, and Lawler are not the only team that is interested in the no disqualification. Their opponents will be mighty happy that that's the way the contract is. And Tuesday night, right there in the Louisville Gardens, it is all going to take place just like that. No time limit, no disqualification. Jerry Jarrett, Bill Superstar Dundee, Ken Lucas, going against handsome Jimmy Valiant, Jerry the King Lawler, and Jimmy Hart. It'll all happen Tuesday. Be there.
Jerry, always glad to have you here on Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, Lance, it seems like every time I'm out here, I'm making some kind of excuse, or I'm standing here embarrassed. What I have to explain is that the situation that our original card called for a lights-out pile driver match between Jerry Lawler and Ken Lucas.
Right.
That match has had to be scratched, and I wanted to explain a little bit of the background about it. I don't personally deal with Lawler anymore. Buddy Fuller handles him. And what it was, a couple of weeks ago, as you know, Jerry Lawler used the pile driver on Ken. Ken asked for the match, and Buddy went to Jerry, and Jerry agreed to it. Then it came contract signing time, and of course, as you know, we deal with Lawler. We don't have an open contract on him. We deal with him from a match-to-match basis. When it came contract time, I guess he had thought about it, and the hold is very dangerous. People can be not just injured, but permanently injured from it. And he changed his mind. He backed out on it. We had some of the publicity out. Fortunately, we found out in time to change it for today. But it's just another chapter in the problems with Jerry Lawler. I know the man. I know that his word isn't any good, and that you can't trust him and you can't rely on him. And now I think Buddy Fuller understands that.
Jerry, I know you've had a problem with Lawler defending his CWA World Heavyweight title for you. He picks and chooses, and that again is a situation where he has to approve the opponent and the whole situation as opposed to an open contract, right?
Yeah, well, with Lawler and the CWA title, as far as I'm concerned, that title on Lawler is a farce because he doesn't defend it. His the contract, the money he asked for is ridiculous. There's no way to justify paying it, so we seldom even try. When he'll come up with suggestions to us, and it's boys that he knows that it would, you know, if lightning struck or something, he might lose.
Well, he does defend it, though, because they opened up a beautiful new facility in Jonesboro, Arkansas. They're really great, and I know you wanted to be there. Super crowd, and the lighting from a television standpoint was just great. The whole thing was terrific. And Lawler did defend it against Paul Ellering over there. He picked Paul as an opponent to defend it, so he will defend it.
Well, I think that that's a situation that we carried Lawler a contract to wrestle Jackie Fargo over there to open up because we wanted it to be nice. It's a nice building.
Oh, beautiful.
He turned that down. Steve Regal, he turned that down. Big Red Reese, he turned that down. Then he came to us and said, "I'll wrestle Paul Ellering." Now, Paul is a fine athlete. He's a great weightlifter. He's lifted weights and spent his whole life, and he's a real pro.
Record holder.
But as a wrestler, he's a novice in that he's just been in the business a year, and you just can't get mentally prepared to wrestle on a world-class level in that length of time. Now, I don't mean anything derogatory about Paul. I like him. I think he's a future champion. But right now he's a novice, and Lawler accepts matches against this class wrestler whenever he wants to defend his CWA.
Don't run off, if you would, Jerry. I'd like to take time out right now to take a look at the action that took place. This was Jonesboro, Arkansas. Fine arena over there, and Jerry Lawler against Paul Ellering for the world title.
Nothing illegal. That was, he used his fist. The referee says, open him up, open him up. Oh, and Ellering back with a right of his own, shoots an elbow. Whip. Backdrop. Whoa. He rattled off that floor. A drag on Lawler. Drop kick. Sprung those ears. Lawler goes over the shoulder, and Ellering covers him one. Got about 1.5 out of it, and Lawler kicked him off. Remember, the world heavyweight title is at stake. Lawler from the rope. Sails down 1, 2, and he got him 3. Jerry Lawler in 11 minutes and 52 seconds comes out victorious over Paul Ellering, and he retains the world title. Jimmy Hart up there with Lawler as Hart takes the belt, and the official announcement being made. Crowd coming in behind Ellering's protest that Lawler used his tights.
That was of course the effort by Paul Ellering to dethrone Jerry Lawler, and it was certainly an admirable effort on Paul Ellering's part to take the title away from Jerry Lawler. Lawler still using that cunning and whatever else he uses. Jerry, I want to take just a second to ask you something. I had a lot of people in, and that is about Lawler's contract, how you all stand.
Yeah, we haven't signed.
Paul,
Is there something about equal time here? Can I have some equal time, please?
I don't know what you'd need equal time for, Paul.
Well,
sure, come on in.
Frankly, I resent the implications that I'm not an athlete. I feel that I'm a great athlete, and I did lose to Jerry Lawler, and I'm not ashamed of it because he is one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, and I've wrestled Bockwinkel, I've wrestled the Funks, I've wrestled Backlund, and I think Lawler's probably the greatest of them all. So I'm not ashamed that I did lose to him. And I don't think, frankly, that Jerry Jarrett, I don't believe you can beat Lawler. And I know, Lance, that you can't beat Lawler. And I resent the fact that you're implying that I'm a punk wrestler. And that's all I got to say.
No, Paul. I think Paul misunderstood.
Yeah, Lance, I certainly didn't mean to infer that, and I'm sorry Paul did. I'll go back now and apologize to him and straighten it out. I don't mean that Paul at all is a punk wrestler. I think he's a great athlete, and I think he's a future champion, and I'm sorry he mistook it.
Okay, Jerry, well, that is not at all what was said for any of you out there. I think you understand that that was not what was said at all. We're going to take time. I'll be back into action in the ring coming up in just one moment.
A one-fall, 15-minute time limit match coming up in the ring right now at 228 pounds from parts unknown. That's the Avenger. And stepping up onto the ring apron on the right of your screen from Atlanta, Georgia, 285 pounds, Big Red. One-fall, 15-minute time limit match already. Oh, referee Paul Morton and ring support just fell out when it 285 pounds hit it on the right side.
It groaned, boy. I mean, groaned.
And I don't
Okay,
blame it.
bell time. Here we go. 1 fall, 15-minute time limit bout. Big Red stepping right on through there. Going against the Avenger. Simplistic move. Fired him back into those ropes.
Boom.
That's all there was
there.
to it. Uh-oh. He's going around behind him. Waist locks Red, more or less.
That ain't going to work.
No, he couldn't get that together. The Avenger, he picked the wrong spot to try to lock up there. He couldn't get the hands together. The Avenger back to the center again. Goes.
Oh, no.
He's going to pick him up and body slam him right there in the center ring. No, he's not going to pick him up and body slam him. Once again, the Avenger out there, and Big Red said, here's the way it's done. He dumps it. Referee Paul Morton says, all right, let's get it on back together again. The Avenger ties it up with Big Red. And firing that right hand, the Avenger going in with a knee to the midsection on the rope. Referee trying to back him up, didn't have any success. Red decides he can handle it better than the referee. And a whip. Puts the shoulder to him. Headbutt. Red in, look out for the splash. There it is. 1, 2, 3.
No doubt it was over when you saw the splash coming. 1:49.
Big Red and his Holy Ghost splash came off that ropes and squished it down on the Avenger. 1 minute and 49 seconds as Big Red comes out with a 3 count. Big Red up there hollering, he won't do that no more. Holy Ghost splash, Big Red says, and he takes it away in 1 minute and 49 seconds. Okay, we got some more action coming up. Hey, from time to time, Davey, we've been bringing an update on how a fellow that we did not get to know for a very long time, but certainly got to know well in a short period of time, a gentleman from Manchester, England, Billy Robinson. And Billy, marvelous, infectious sense of humor. Billy's not laughing too much now, and I don't mean to make joke of it, because the Assassins, he ended up with a fracture in the lower part of his arm and has been out of wrestling action. And we've been asking Billy to get us some tape reports on it. The son of a gun, I talked to him just the other day at his home in Minneapolis, and he's not talking just about getting well now. He's talking about let's get it on and get us back in there with the Assassin. A little early, but this is a determined gentleman. Billy had some interesting things to say in the last report we got from him.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for listening to me again, and I want to apologize in a way for being down on the last visits we've had, mentally and physically down. But I'm telling you, there's an old saying that goes, what you can't change, accept. But this situation, there is nothing about it that I can't change. I feel good now. I thought this cast would have been off earlier, but unfortunately, it had to stay on a few days longer. But it will be off in the next couple of days, and then I can get back to training. I'm out already. I'm doing my road work, walking and taking the dogs out. But mentally I am right. Mentally, I've got a goal. I can see a light at the end of a dark passage. And the more I get my mind determined on that light, the light gets bigger and the dark passage gets shorter. And it's going to get shorter and shorter until very soon I'm going to break out into the daylight. And when I break out into the daylight, ladies and gentlemen, when I get out there, and when I am physically capable, which will be very shortly, when I am mentally alert to everything that's going on around me, and I am ready, it's going to be a different Billy Robinson you've seen. I came down to your area with wrestling in my mind. Wrestling is my life. I've been wrestling since I was this big. I've been wrestling the idea of technique, of suplexes, of saltos, of hip locks and hypes and hanks and double wrist locks has been mainly my goal, to be the perfect technical wrestler. But I've learned a lesson this time, and it's the last time I'm going to have to learn this lesson, that some people who are just bullies, overside oafs that get into the ring, that go out just to cripple you, not to beat you in wrestling, not to beat you in a sport, but just to get themselves satisfied and put you out of their hair permanently. Well, they tried, the assassins, they tried to put me out of their hair permanently, but they made a mistake. They didn't quite get the job done. And I'm going to, when I come back, assassins, I am going to show you what it's like to face a man with hatred, with fire, with determination, with a killer instinct, and a man who is not going to abide by the rules. I'm going to show you a Billy Robinson that you have never seen before, and I can't wait to get at you.
There's no question about it. He's dead serious about it, Billy Robinson. And Billy, essentially, as he said when we initially saw him in the territory, Billy is a wrestler, but he's beyond that right now. Billy's ready for it. We got some more action coming up on Championship Wrestling. We're going to be back to it in just a moment.
Back to Wave Country's Championship Wrestling in just a moment. A little bit earlier, we gave you the final bout, that six-man tag match. It'll have no time limit, no disqualification. Let me give you the entire card Tuesday night right down there at the Louisville Gardens. Paul Ellering will be going against Buddy Wayne. Sonny King takes on Steve Regal. The Medics will be going against Rick and Robert Gibson, a Southern Tag Team title match when Rick Morton and Big Red will be challenging the Assassins, and then it's going to be a six-man tag. Remember this, no time, no disqualification. Handsome Jimmy Valiant, Jerry the King Lawler, and Jimmy Hart will be going against Jerry Jarrett, Bill Superstar Dundee, and Ken Lucas. Now that, my friend, is not only going to have the rules set that it's going to be a big battle, and that is no time, no disqualification. Personalities are going to become involved. You don't want to miss that. That's going to be Tuesday night right down there at the Louisville Gardens. Make sure that you get your ringside ticket now.
Look at tape of a match which occurred at the Memphis Mid-South Coliseum, and this one a six-man tag team match. On one side of the ring it was Big Red, Steve Regal, Rick Morton. The other side, Jerry Lawler, Jimmy Hart, and Handsome Jimmy Valiant. Six-man tag team match. Let's look at it right now.
Oh, and Hart popped by Rick Morton. Hart was going to be Superman to the rescue, and Lawler over saying, "What are you crazy, man? Stay out of there." Rick Morton really nailed Hart. Tag on Morton, and he takes over the arm of Handsome Jimmy. Morton thrown into the corner, his shoulder hurt. Morton, the lighter of them. And, of course, he's the one they like to throw around. Lawler really tunned Morton. Picks him up. Caught him with a foot. Really splattered him. There's a tag on Hart. He says, "You want him now? Go in there and kill him." That's what Lawler said, and Hart going after him. Pounded away. Handsome Jimmy holding him from behind. Here comes Regal. Big Red from the other side. Hart choking Rick Morton. Lawler standing right by in case there's trouble. Hart scoots out, and Lawler is in there. Morton needs a tag. Oh, yeah. Big elbow again from Lawler on Morton. Again. Pounds him. And misses. Tag on Handsome Jimmy, though. Body slam. Jimmy. Morton goes into the corner. Valiant really throwing him around the ring. Game boy, I'll tell you this Morton is. Lawler puts him down. He's back in. Lawler with a hair rips Morton. Regal trying to battle his way in. Referee says stay out. Lawler with a pile driver. That should put Morton out of action. Here comes Handsome Jimmy right on top of him, but Morton's leg is on the rope. Jimmy gets up. He pulls Morton with him. Backbreaker. Oh. For Rick Morton. Tag on Lawler. 20 minutes past, 40 minutes to wrestle. 20 minutes past, 40 minutes to wrestle. Morton firing away on Lawler. And Valiant. Hart from behind, and Morton puts him down. But Lawler, I couldn't see it because of Hart and Valiant, but Lawler must have nailed him. Hart from the outside, flailing is the word on Morton. Lawler holding him, and Hart after him. Handsome and the King drop him down on the top rope. Count of one, but Morton's leg is on top of the rope. Jimmy kicked it back, but he was close enough to get a break. Morton's still on his feet. And Lawler put him down as he whirled with that foot. Morton regains his feet, but Lawler just coming after him. And there's a tag, but the referee is over here trying to get Handsome Jimmy out. Now everybody's in. Hart slam. Big Red going for the Holy Ghost splash on Hart. He got him right in the middle of the ring, but he wasn't the legal man in. The referee says, get out of here. I was sure he missed the tag. He was over trying to get Handsome Jimmy out of the ring. 1, 2, 3. Lawler rolled. Morton over, or Hart over on top of Morton. And the pin went to the team of Hart, Lawler, and Valiant. The winner, 23 minutes, 44 seconds. Lawler, Valiant, and Hart. 23, 44. Hart, Lawler, and Valiant. The referee having his problems with the people. As they're trying to say that he did tag Red, but the referee was trying to get Handsome Jimmy out of the ring. So the official decision is going to go to Lawler, Valiant, and Jimmy Hart in 23:04.
Yeah, 23 minutes and 4 seconds, a wild and woolly action. We thought you might enjoy that one. We've got some more wrestling action on our big expiration of time match when Lawler and Valiant take on the Gibsons, Rick and Robert, right after we take time out for this.
Rick and Robert Gibson. And going against them in this match, total weight 467 pounds, with their manager Jimmy Hart. From New York City, handsome Jimmy Valiant. From Memphis, Tennessee, Jerry the King Lawler. This match will be to the expiration of time. Referee Jerry Calhoun.
Woogie! Jerry Calhoun saying, let me have one in here. Rick Gibson across the way will be the one starting. Lawler off with his jacket, and Jimmy off with his whatever, and now his shades he's about to get rid of. His eyes. Yeah, get rid of his eyes. Let's see who it's going to be, Jim. Come on now. Get it on. We're ready for some wrestling action. Lawler will be starting. We're ready for it. Bell. Davey.
Rick Gibson starting against the King, Jerry Lawler. The expiration of time match. All kinds of complaining coming from the corner of Lawler, Hart, and Valiant. Don't know exactly what the complaint was about. Oh, Lawler! Thrown across the ring. Rick Gibson got a drag, and he just threw him all the way across the ring. Lawler sailing through the air. Jimmy Hart comes in and says, hey, referee, he couldn't have done that unless he pulled tight. Lawler says, yes, sir, you're right. Look, here's how he did it. And Jerry Calhoun goes over to Rick Gibson and says, is that true? We didn't see it. Rick Gibson says he did not. Never saw it, Jimmy. Saw it. Looked like a clean drag right across the ring to me. One minute, 12 seconds into the action. Back in the corner. Rick Gibson hooks the arms, hangs on. Lawler was going to fire him across the ring. Rick Gibson reverses it on him. And we were watching that time. No tights, Jimmy. Yeah, no tights. Clean. Nothing wrong with it.
He's seen it with his own eyes. Yes. Come here, ref.
Lawler again says, come here, referee. Let's talk it over. Rick Gibson says, here's how I did it. Lawler says, here's how he did it. And I guarantee you the discussion is not going to get us anywhere. Rick Gibson, center of the ring, waiting for Jerry Lawler. Lawler hanging back close to the corner. 2 minutes, 10 seconds gone. First ball of action in an expiration of time match. Hart, seated in the chair over the corner. Rick Gibson kicked at him as if to say, hey, sit down and be quiet. Lawler back into action now with Rick Gibson. Rick with a headlock, back to the rope. Lawler fires him into the rope. Both of them going on the rope. Rick Gibson jumps out of the ring, grabs Jimmy Hart. Lawler still going back and forth. Lawler is still rolling back and forth against the ropes. Rick Gibson jumped out of the ring and surprised Jimmy Hart. He grabbed him, he picked him up by the hair and said, hey, here I am. Oh, me. Referee Jerry Calhoun had come out of the ring to get Rick Gibson back in there. Now he's back in. Rick Gibson, Jerry Lawler, still in the ring. Lawler wants Rick disqualified for jumping out of the ring. I don't think there's much grounds to stand on there, as long as he was back before the referee counted 10. Rick Gibson with a headlock. Over to the corner. Tags brother Robert. Robert Gibson comes in with the right hand, fired to the rib cage. Hand full of hair by Lawler. He dropped with a fist. Robert was gone. And Lawler slugged the mat. 4 minutes into the first fall. Lawler trying to work his way back to the corner for the tag. Whoop. Oh, a little double team action, but it backfired as Robert Gibson smacked Handsome Jimmy. He had his right fist pulled back. He was ready to unload on Robert. Robert got him first. Now Lawler comes over and says, hey, what happened? We had it set up there. I was going to fire him into the ropes, and I was going to let you slug him. But it just didn't work out quite that way. There's a tag. Handsome Jimmy Valiant from the Big Apple, New York City. Robert Gibson greets him. Robert Gibson with Handsome Jimmy Valiant on the mat. Handsome Jimmy puts Robert Gibson into the rope. Rolls him off with the arm lock. Valiant dropped to the mat. Rick Gibson jumps in and grabs Lawler. He slugged him. Robert Gibson still has a headlock on Handsome Jimmy. Valiant and Robert Gibson are the two legal men in the ring right now. Lawler stumbling out between the ropes, being attended to by manager Jimmy Hart. Meanwhile, back in the ring, Handsome Jimmy back Robert Gibson into the ropes, fires him into the turnbuckles. Robert hit hard on his left shoulder. Moves out of the way. Jimmy runs into the turnbuckle. Valiant rolls the shoulders down. Lawler jumped in there. He was going after Rick Gibson. And he cost his team a possible pin. Robert's shoulders were down. Held there by Handsome Jimmy. The Gibson brothers have made an exchange. Lawler says no tag. I'm not sure but what Lawler is right in this case. I got to tell you, I don't think there was a tag.
Come on, Handsome!
Doesn't seem to make much difference. Handsome Jimmy fires Rick Gibson into the ropes. Rick held on. Jimmy Valiant with a haymaker swing. And he missed altogether. Both of them heads slammed together. Lawler hits the back. Jimmy Valiant hits the mat. Put there by a drop kick. And a good one by Rick Gibson. And the King.
You love this, don't you?
I love it. I sure do. You're right. There's a cover. One. Oh, Lawler in there to break it up at the 2 count. Robert Gibson working on Handsome Jimmy. Rick Gibson with a cover. One. At the 1 count. Handsome Jimmy's able to break the cover, stop the count. Rick Gibson headlock. Valiant hits him into the ropes. Knee to the midsection off those ropes. We're getting very close to the 8-minute mark in this first fall. Action and conversation all the way in this one. Lots of conversation in the first 2 or 3 minutes, but it's been wild action for the last 5 or 6.
Boy, it really has, Dave. This has been a dandy.
Lawler, right fist used against Rick Gibson. Lawler sliding that foot off the jawbone of Rick Gibson. Handsome Jimmy in there. Taking over where the King left off. Gibson slammed into the foot. Rick. No, he's over to the corner. Just missed the tag. Lawler wandering in here. Robert Gibson started after him. Oh, Lawler and Valiant slamming Rick Gibson into the turnbuckle. 9 minutes gone. Right fist by Lawler. Rick Gibson off the ropes. Drove Lawler to the mat. Unfortunately, Rick fell, and Lawler is between Rick and Brother Robert over in the corner. Rick starting for the corner. Can't get there. Both of them go down. They banged heads coming off the ropes there. Both wrestlers down on the mat. 9 minutes, 40 seconds into the action. Oh. Right hand by Lawler, but he hits the mat. Rick over near the corner gets the tag, and here's Robert Gibson. Robert with the cover.
They have him. No.
Just a one count. Oh. Lawler slams Robert Gibson into the turnbuckles and across the ray. Oh, he just fired him in there. Robert hit hard.
You just don't make many mistakes against Lawler and get away with it, do you? Huh?
Yeah, and across the ring. Lawler shoved him on over the top rope. Referee's back was turned, and there's a possible disqualification. Yes, sir. Robert Gibson down on the floor. Jimmy Hart down there. Handsome Jimmy down there with a chair. Rick down on the floor trying to help his brother out. Robert back in the ring. A long fall. Almost 11 minutes. Lawler misses with a swing. Robert rolls to the corner. Here's Rick. Handsome Jimmy out of the ring. Lawler still in here against Rick Gibson. Rick with a shoulder butt drives Lawler to the mat. Jimmy Valiant trips him up. Jimmy Hart rather tripped him up. Jimmy from the chair. There's a cover by Rick. Valiant into the ring now. He yanked Rick Gibson off the cover. Referee says ring the bell. Disqualification. It's got to go against Lawler.
Disqualification.
Yeah, Jimmy Hart is in the ring. It's going to be it for the first fall.
First fall is going to go by disqualification. We're going to check our time and be back in a moment.
Yeah, we got some final action coming up here on Channel 3's Championship Wrestling. We're going to get back to it in just a moment. A little bit earlier, we gave you the entire card, and we talked to the team of Lawler, Valiant, and Hart concerning that six-man tag with no time, no disqualification. They were all delighted about the no disqualification, Jerry Jarrett. They don't seem to realize that you guys are pretty well pleased with it yourself.
Yes, sir, Lance. It suits us just fine. I asked Buddy for the match, and he gave it to us. You know, Lawler and Valiant and Hart, they come prepared with chains and some lead or something in Lawler's elbow pad. They wrestle that way anyway. So Ken and Bill and myself, we decided to come to the match prepared to fight them on their ground and on their terms. And I wanted to say to the fans this: I didn't know what I'd been missing the last 3 years. That may sound crazy for somebody that's taken the beating I took last week. But I'm glad to be in the ring, and I'm glad to be in there. And one thing I want to make a promise to Jerry Lawler. We're not only going to beat you, but we're going to embarrass you like that little Hart. We're going to pull your pants down this week and spank you like the big baby you are.
If I had the time, I'd ask you about his comment about breaking your fingers so you couldn't push the pencil. I'll talk to Ken right now.
Lance, I've got two very fine men as my partner, and I learned one thing in this profession a long time ago: you don't sell nobody short. But I've got where I dislike Jerry Lawler very much, and Jimmy Valiant the same way, and they've got this little punk manager, too, that's interfering all the time. Well, just like Jerry Jarrett said, we're going to go in there for one thing, boys, and that's to win that match. We're not here to play no head games. We're going to go right in there and do our thing, and if we've got to knock one of your teeth down your throat or black one in your eye, let me tell you something, we're coming to do it.
And Ken Lucas means that for a fact. Another guy that always means it, Bill Dundee.
That's right, brother. Jimmy Hart, you're mine, Daddy. I don't care about handsome Jimmy. You can hide behind Lawler the Rev. There's no hiding this week, Daddy. You're mine, Jimmy Hart, because I don't like you. You know why I don't like you, son. You're mine, and that's a promise.
You hear it right there. You'll see it. Tuesday night, Louisville Gardens. Don't you dare miss that one.
Is going to stand in that fall in there, Davey, and we're not going to have time for another call. So that means the Gibsons
win it, right?
Sir, come out with it, by golly. And I'll tell you what, that may be one of the continuing problems of Lawler and Valiant when they're working together is disqualification. Got to watch out for it. Hey, our time is up. We're delighted to be here with you today. We'll see you next week with more championship wrestling. Until then, for Dave Brown, Lance Russell saying bye-bye, everybody.
Announcers on this program are selected and paid by parties other than this station, namely the Jarrett Welch Wrestling Company.